We can't go to eMule's corporate headquarters and set their place on fire and make all the child pornography go away. Because all the child pornography and all the bad files are on your computer, because you downloaded them. And your computer, and your computer, and your computer, and your computer. They're not in this central server where they're all maintained, because we're all sharing files back and forth. So once a file gets out there on the internet, it's out there forever. And we can't pull that back. We can't go out and get it. And I think that's, when I talk to, especially teenagers, we were all pretty stupid as teenagers. I wasn't, but well, I probably was. Teenagers can't comprehend that if they take a picture, and it's generally females, but the males are doing it more. You know, like the nude selfie in the mirror. They can't comprehend that that is there forever. That forever that is there. And they don't realize that it's going to be, if I take a picture, some sort of, not child pornography, just a nude picture of a female, and I load it up on the internet, we know that that picture will be on every continent in every major city within 48 hours. Now, how do you go reach back out and pull that stuff off? You can't. And that's why we can't go out and like pull all the child pornography off the internet. If we could, we would. These are just probably the most popular peer-to-peer networks right now to get child pornography. So you go out on the internet, you go to CNET. If you guys don't know what CNET is, it's a great site for computer stuff and to download, not download files, but to download software. Free software. Don't pay for virus, antivirus stuff. Hopefully nobody pays for that. Go to CNET and download it for free. Yes, ma'am.
My brother's like a big computer whiz for IBM, and they do all kinds of stuff with like the networks. And isn't there a way that they can actually shut down P2P sites if they're supporting files that are illegal? Is that not?
No, because we are all the peer-to-peer. I could shut down peer-to-peer tomorrow if I could get all your guys' computers in the world and burn them.
Well, just stop people from being able to actually use the software to pass it to each other.
No, there's just no way to go out there and do that. They have tried that. LimeWire. Oh, LimeWire's still up there. If you're still using LimeWire, fast forward to the 20th century and use BitTorrent. LimeWire, they've done a pretty decent job of going after LimeWire and trying to get stuff shut down. But the instant that they shut down LimeWire, all these other ones pop up. Because it, what is the old term, nature adores a vacuum or doesn't like a vacuum, whatever the term is. All these other ones, anybody know what Pirate Bay is? Yeah, there you go. The guys that founded that, they are hilarious. If you're sitting in a class, you're bored out of your mind, go to Pirate Bay's website and go to their comments. Oh, the things they say about corporate attorneys. It's bad. I mean, really bad. They want to take, like, police nightsticks and put them somewhere in the corporate attorneys. Those guys are right. But anyways, Pirate Bay is a place you can go to download files. And they've been trying to shut them down for years. Yes, sir.
Well, like Pirate Bay is like a hosting site,
yep.
Where they have torrent files for download.
Mm-hmm.
Then how do you guys kind of like attack like private forums, if that kind of makes sense? Because you can do direct file sharing through forums. Because I work for bodybuilding.com. Within our forum section, you could download like torrent links and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Generally, if two people are downloading stuff between them, we'll never know. We just won't know. It has to be out there for our undercover computers to do what they do legally. I have to be able to go into court and say my undercover computer was out on the public network, the public internet, and it was downloading these files. And ultimately, it may be you, or it may be you, or it may be you. I don't know when that computer first starts. But if two people are shooting messages back and forth, or downloading files back and forth, or if you guys made up your own group, we'll call it the Lookout Room group. As long as I don't know about you, there's no way I'm going to know what files you guys are sharing back and forth. How we break into those groups is I arrest her for possession of child pornography or a chatting case. She's trying to meet the 13-year-old boy and go have sex with him. Disgusting. And I arrest her that I can take over her account and then I would have access to the rest of you guys. But for the most part, if it's 2 people, we'll never know. Absolutely never know. And some of the bigger groups that you read about periodically that have gone, we had a case that started here, I think 3 years ago, and hit a bunch of cities in Europe, Australia, South America, because it was a group of people that were molesting their own children and sharing files back and forth. We happened to arrest one of the guys here locally, and doing the forensics on his computer, we noticed he was sharing files with all these other guys. Search terms, kind of like we talked about, and these are just probably the most common search terms, PTHC, Lolita, preteen, Ray Gold, pedo kids. It's pretty common, just 1 YO, 2 YO, 3 YO, etc. Private daughter, teen fun X. And that's how you end up with it within these peer-to-peer networks. Boise's problem. How late does this go? Anybody know?
5.
Except 5. You still have like, it's 4:23 right now.
Oh, perfect. I usually run over. I just get a little excited. You guys make sure I don't mess up your schedules. All right, Boise's problem. Here we go. You guys ready? Hopefully you don't run screaming into the night. Oh, we're going to talk about recent cases. This is my favorite part. We'll get to those, but real quick. This guy, one of these 2 morons, I don't remember which one it is now. It's him, I think. Anyways, he was one of our first cases back in 2007, 2008. It's a great case. Myself and Tim Brady, we were still trying to figure out all this ICAC stuff. We had no idea what we were doing, like I talked about. And if you ask my wife, I still don't know what I'm doing about it. So I haven't really progressed that far. But this kid, he was making contact with one of our detectives. Which one was it? It's Craig Nixon, and he was property crimes detective. We had a rash of people going around doing vandalism, spray painting stuff, and Craig Nixon got on Facebook or FaceCrack or whatever he got on, and he made a profile, and to try to identify some of the, and we assumed it was younger kids doing all these taggings or whatever. Well, he got on there and he made a profile, and I think he was 12 or 13-year-old girl. I don't remember which one it is. But this guy kept shooting him messages. We didn't know who it was initially. He kept shooting messages to Detective Nixon's Facebook profile. So Nixon came to us and he goes, "Hey, I heard you guys are kind of doing these. Do you want to take this over and chat with this guy and see what happens?" And we said, "Yeah, we don't know what we're doing, but we'll do it." So we're both on our days off. We get in our cars, we drive in there, and we get this off. It's our first chatting case. No training, no nothing. And Brady sits down at the computer, and I'm sitting there, and I go, "What are we seeing?" He goes, "I don't know. How do you talk like a 13-year-old girl?" I go, "Shit, I don't know." So we just start chatting with this guy. Within a half an hour, Stupid decides he wants to come meet us, to have sex with us. We're 13, and he's like 25. Because what 13-year-old doesn't find that dude extremely attractive? Well, this guy is such a complete buffoon that he doesn't have enough money. He doesn't have a car. Which, if you're a girl, and the guy's 25 doesn't have a car, find somebody else. But he doesn't have, we have to agree to pay his bus fare for him to come see us. You're 25, you're a child molester, you can't come up with $1.50 to find a victim. So anyways, we say, "Yeah, we'll give you your bus fare when you get here." Stupid. So he gets on the bus. He was down in the valley somewhere, I don't remember. But he gets off the bus at Curtis and Over. And that's where he gets off the bus. So we got him. I mean, it's a great chatting case. And a chatting case is just simply somebody over the age of 18 chatting with somebody who they believe is under the age of 16, and they make some kind of sexual advance. If I'm the bad guy and I'm chatting with Miss Grizzlies right here, that's her shirt. I ain't making any other references. Shirt says Grizzlies. If I'm chatting with her and I say, "Hey, I want to have sex with you," I just committed a crime. That's it. I don't have to go into a whole lot of detail. I want to rip your shirt off or any of that. I just want to have sex with you. I've committed a crime. Now, them showing up is kind of the icing on the cake. It's great when they show up because it really shows intent. So Stupid, and I know his parents should have named him that, right? He shows up, gets off the bus, looking around for the 13-year-old. to get his money back because he had to pay for the bus fare. So we go in, we arrest him, we take him to the station, we interview him, and I laugh a lot, I shouldn't. He was tied to, I think the last count, 13 underage rapes in the city of Boise. In Ada County, I should say city. We had a serial rapist. We had no idea. Law enforcement didn't know, the community didn't know. Basically what he was doing was meeting young girls online, showing up at their house, getting them drunk as a skunk, and raping them. And we caught him by a silly chatting case. And it was our very first case. You know, that's like getting in the major league and knocking out, you know, winning the whatever they call it in baseball. Baseball's done. I got a buddy that loves baseball, so I tell him. You know, hitting the grand slam, you know, winning everything. So it was a great first case for us. This guy here, Guy Tanaka, he liked to wear women's underwear and pantyhose. Cool, whatever, you know. He had 100,000 videos. Probably 80% of them were child pornography. That's what he did. We all probably have a hobby. I have 3 boys, so that's basically my hobby, being a dad. That's the greatest hobby in the world. His hobby was downloading child pornography. That's all he did. He went to work at Pizza Hut. He was a manager, and on weekends, on nights off, when he got up in the morning, that's all he did, was download child pornography. And that's just a couple of guys. So, here's a good one. This was my case, I think, last year. John Delva is 44 years old, married, has 4 children, lives in an upper middle income neighborhood off of Park Center. We served a search warrant at his house for possession of sexually exploitative material, child pornography. During the interview, Delva admitted to downloading child pornography, some children as young as 1 year old, for his own sexual gratification. Delva went on to admit that he was molesting all 4 of his children. He was currently molesting his 3-year-old daughter weekly in the shower. Delva was smart, and what he did is he would stop molesting his children around 2-3 years old. Anybody know why?
They didn't know. Start to talk.
Absolutely, it's a pretty easy one. Once they kind of hit that 3, they're really starting to be able to talk. They can really start to express themselves. If you're a parent, you're like, can you go back to 2 and not talk so much? But he would stop, and his older children had no memory whatsoever of being molested by him. But he was still currently molesting his youngest daughter. When we served a search warrant at his house, when we hit his house, and it's not like on TV where you, get on the ground! When we do the ICAC search warrants, it's real, you know. Person comes to the door, I say, I'm Officer Phillips of the Boise Police Department. I have a search warrant for your house. Can you please step out of your house? And usually the guy instantly knows why we're there. You can see it in his face. Delva, he answers the door. Hi, I'm Officer Phillips of the Boise Police Department. I have a search warrant for your house. Could you please step out? He goes, is this about my speeding tickets? Yeah, dummy. We serve search warrants for that. It took forever to get him to admit to it. Well, not forever. It was. These interviews will take a long time because there's always something that nobody wants to tell anything. Everybody has kind of that deep, dark secret. This is theirs. They've never told anybody about it. They don't want anybody ever to find out. And when I sit down with somebody and I interview somebody, I have to get my suspect to trust me more than they've trusted anybody in their whole lives. That's tough, and it takes a long time to get to that point. We are over 90% on admissions. That's pretty darn good. Go find another crime where you have investigators that even come close to that. And I think why we do so good at it is that word that we should all probably use a little bit more of, and it's called empathy. Just because that person across the table for me is evil, and I hope they spend the rest of their lives in jail. And I hope they have a horrible existence. When I sit across from the table from somebody, I try to look at them as still that innocent kid I'm trying to save. Because at one time they were innocent. And it's tough sometimes. There's hardly any police officers that want to do my job. It's like, oh no, I'd just crawl across the table and I'd beat them to death. And part of you feels that way. You wouldn't do it in a million years. But, yes, ma'am.
Is it true that, like, statistically, that most offenders were victimized themselves?
No! They are no more likely to be victimized than the average public. We know that the average person, by the time they turn 18, there's a 25% chance that they will be sexually abused in some way. Girls, the reporting is a little bit higher because there's not as much stigma. There's still a lot of stigma for boys to be molested. Oh, you're gay, or why didn't you fight him off? That kind of stuff. And so it's right around 25%. And they're no more likely. But during the interviews, if I can get somebody to admit that they were molested, I know that I'm going to get a full boat confession. Do I know? They may be telling me the truth. Maybe they were molested. I don't know. I know statistically no more than the average public, 25%. But I know now we have somewhere for them to blame this crime on. And there's two other guys that do this with, Jason Peterzak and Tim Brady. We always do our interviews in a pair, because somebody will be taking notes, the other one will be actually conducting the interview. And the other one's writing stuff down because we'll take a break and we'll go out and try to figure out where we're at with stuff. But when I get somebody to admit that they were molested, we both look at each other and we go, got it. Because then we'll talk about that. We'll talk about, what happened to you? We don't want to see this happen again to anybody else, blah, blah, blah. And we give them a place to hang that hat, to hang that crime on somebody other than themselves. Well, you didn't make yourself this way. It was Uncle Joe or Aunt Bobby or whoever the heck it is. I don't care. I need that admission because I want to get this stuff to stop. So no, but good question. And that one comes up every single time. So Devil went to prison. And the only good thing, bad thing, however you want to look at it. He admitted to molesting 4 children. 3 of them were his own. They can get counseling going forward. That's good. That's a success. And hopefully they will be okay as they grow up. But there's a little girl that he molested at Canyon County Fair. We'll never know who she is. We'll never know the horror that she goes through. She doesn't have a face and she doesn't have a name. That's sad. So second one, Jeremy McCullough, 24-year-old, lives in a lower income neighborhood in Garden City. Is there an upper income neighborhood in Garden City? No. Yeah. Half you guys probably goes, oh, I'm going to complain. But anyways, so Jeremy McCullough, Garden City, we use what's called a knock and talk. Sometimes I believe something's going on at your house, and it could be anything. It could be dope sales, whatever. And I just don't have enough to go in front of a judge to ask for a search warrant. So it's exactly, I go up to your front door and I go, you answer the door and I go, hey, I'm Officer Phillips with the Boise Police Department. I'm with the neighborhood contact team. Can I come in and talk to you about a neighbor problem? 80-90% of the people let us in because they're decent, hardworking students, or they're decent, hardworking people like the group that's in front of me today. Just honest people trying to make your way in the world. Or they'll step out and they'll talk to the officer. But Jeremy McCullough, so I go up and I knock on the door, myself and Jason Peterzak. A girl, and I'm not kidding you, she's 12 years old, she's got hooker boots on, with the long stiletto things that go up to here. Like tiny little underwear on, and like a halter top. And she's 11, 12, tops. And I look at Jason, and I go, so I said, hey, is your dad home? And she goes, yeah. And she gets out of the way, and Jeremy comes out. So I pulled Jeremy out in his front yard, because I didn't really want to go in the trailer. It smelled in there. A lot of trailers do. So I pull him out in the front yard, talk to him for about 10 minutes. And I tell him why I'm there. I'm with ICAC Task Force on Internet Crimes Against Children, and I think somebody may be downloading files on your computer. And he goes, I'm so glad you're here. And I go, so am I. And he goes, I know somebody's downloading those files. And I go, who is it? He goes, well, I am. I go, really? He goes, yeah, I'm downloading them, and I'm going to find out who's making these videos. And I'm going to bring you the files and the bad guys. I go, holy cow, Jeremy. you're my man, buddy. I go, and you can hear him on my audio because we audio tape all of our recordings. I go, how come you haven't applied for us? And he goes, I've really been thinking about being a police officer. And I go, I really think you should. So, Jeremy, and you got to realize these guys generally aren't the smartest because I've literally at the IQ of an ant. So if I arrest you, you're a bozo. You know, you need to, you don't have to have much learning to get over me. Great thing about Jeremy, not great, we always get stuck with our terminology. I was back at my office, one of my undercover, and I'm downloading some files right now from a bad guy here in the city of Boise. I look at Peter's act, the partner, Jason Peter's act. I go, man, I'm getting some great files. Well, I'm not. I'm getting child pornography, but we get stuck with that terminology because we got all excited, you know, we want to go out and get the bad guy. So when I say it's good, it really isn't good.